Hey guys, what's going on? DuffKing56 here, back with a little bit more Battlefield. Guys, just bear with me. A little more Battlefield. Now, we're still working through this game. We're still having ourselves a lot of fun on Operation Metro Masochism Mode. And today, what I kind of wanted to talk about was something a little bit different. It's more on par with kind of my thoughts about sort of the changing society changing, but in the light of at the high school level and getting college and different things you do in high school and stuff like that. Like, I have to try to sort of explain it. It doesn't sound good coming out of my mouth right now. But what I was thinking was, I was trying to think of my experience when I was applying to college as I was trying to get into college. And, I was thinking, dwelling on past experiences, as I've been doing quite a lot recently, unfortunately, because nostalgia hits like a rock. But I was trying to think of how things have really changed just from when I was in high school to now, and I've only been 2 years out. But I think I was in the middle of sort of change that a lot of people probably aren't noticing, or they notice but they're kind of hesitant to change, or maybe we're just so stuck in our tradition that it's almost we're blind to it. And like I said, this is just me spitballing my ideas. I'm just throwing my opinion out there, but it was just interesting for me to think about what it takes, to get into college and what your resume is going to look like and in real life, And I guess what it boils down to, besides your GPA, which really isn't as important as a lot of people make it out to be, your SAT scores, which are going to start to be less important if the way I predict the trend of standardized testing to go, which is way down in the future, which hopefully it does. I mean, those things are awful. They're awful, 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 and you guys should know that. I'm sure you guys have had plenty of awesome experiences, quote-unquote, with standardized testing, but if that goes in the way that I think it's going to go, then it's really going to come down to your extracurriculars and the stuff that you do extra, and maybe I'm talking to everyone who's been out of high school, but maybe dwell back on your past experiences of even interviewing for jobs and interviewing for colleges. I know some people do interview for colleges, and jobs. I know most jobs have interviews, but some colleges do interviews. And I even interviewed for my position at this cancer institute that I worked at 2 summers ago. I'm just, like I said, I was trying to think back. And what really made me stand out was not what people think make you stand out now. So I was a little bit more critical of this topic way back when I was ranting about it, but I'm going to try to take it from a less critical viewpoint and just kind of lay down what I'm thinking. And that is the whole idea of like student government, and you want to be your class president, you want to do this, you want to be in this, you want to be on the newspaper, you want to be in the yearbook, And I was just trying to think, I was trying to rule out of some things that I don't think are going to be relevant in the near future. And what I came down with is that clubs like your student government and yearbook, unless you're on design, and newspaper and stuff like that, unless you're going to be a journalist, aren't really going to matter much, unless it's pertaining to your possible content area. But then again, who even knows what their content area is coming out of high school? No one. Don't tell me you know what you're going to do, because you're going to change your mind, or you're going to second guess yourself. Unless you're... I can't think of it. But I think they're going to be completely irrelevant unless it's content area based. So what I was thinking was, what actually is going to be relevant in the future, looking on a resume. And my experience, at least from all the interviews that I've had, is that when you go into an interview, you want to send your resume beforehand, by the way. You don't really bring it with you. You want to send it beforehand, so they have time to look over it. And they'll cater the interview to your resume. So they will, from my experience, a lot of the interviews would go point by point on my resume, and we'd talk about it. And some of the things that we talked about more at length than others were community service, stuff that I did volunteer. Clubs that they may never have heard of. And mostly volunteer work, or any sort of experience outside of school that they were worried of. Sports, they asked me about my sports experience. They say, oh, district champs at baseball, that must have been fun or whatever, and I go in a little bit about it, but they really focus now on, I would say, clubs that catch their eye, stuff that they never see on resumes. That's what they're going to ask you about. On my resume for most of my colleges, I even put frequent periodicals that I read. So maybe not something you think about, but they would ask me about it, stuff that is a little bit more away from the model student, quote-unquote, type gilded, fringed person, picture that you're thinking of. Oh, he was his class president and he graduated with a 4.0. Like, yeah, that's great and all, but what do you actually have to offer as a person? Most people, I'm not even going to say a sweeping generalization. Let me scratch that. The people that I've experienced that were in student government, or at least were sort of fit that bill, are extremely shallow, no sort of substance, like you go into an interview and I'm sure, I am going to say right now that from now on, I would say that they would value someone of higher character, with a higher personality, more than they would a class president, or more than they would a 4.0 student. It is not about your grades. It is about, what you can do in the classroom, but it is more about you as a person, because from my experience with interviews, when I would go into an interview, they would ask me, how are you going to be an ambassador of our university or college? I went to an alumni interview for the University of Tufts, and now I didn't get in because of my grades, because that's an Ivy, or a mini Ivy, I should say. I probably wouldn't have liked it there anyway. That's besides the point. I rocked the shit out of that interview because I knew how to present myself as a viable candidate for a college, as a viable candidate as a person, a strong personal identity and character, and something, that is worth taking a chance on, because that's what college is doing. When they take in new applicants, they are taking risks, because they don't know if they're going to keep you another year. They want to keep the tuition rolling in. They don't want open seats come in and they have to rely on transfers for their tuition. No. That's not how it works. They want returning students. So they're going to take risks on people they think are going to be viable candidates. So that's why grades are so important to the side, because they know that if you have good grades, if you have a 4.0 or whatever, that they're taking a good chance. But that is, if you don't have some sort of GPA, what is going to make you stand out? Being in student government and being some sort of administration bitch for the last, for 4 years of your high school career, and just being pushed around and doing literally nothing besides sitting in meetings and talking, isn't going to matter. It's going to be the people that stand out. It's going to be the people that, they may only have a club of 4 kids, but they started the club, they took their leadership role, and they had a successful club in high school by themselves. They ran it. Student government's run by the school. There's, it's overseen by the administration. There's no real leadership in it besides being a figurehead, as the president. Now, my president in the high school was pretty awesome. He was a funny guy, and taking away nothing from him. He was a great guy. He did what he could, but he didn't do anything. He couldn't do anything because they don't let you do anything. There's no structure there. They want to keep their power, and they're obviously not going to give it to someone without a education administration degree, a master's degree, no PhD. They're not going to give it to you, especially in public schools. You can get away with some stuff in private schools, but not in public schools, because that is just a liability, and liabilities are not good. So you want to make yourself as available as possible. And one thing that at least worked for me, that I think is going to be more popular in the coming years, is the extracurriculars. Doing a lot of community service really helps, because they see that you're a positive role model. You're an influence, especially if you're with kids, which I did. You're an influence to children. You're a positive role model. You're going to go to that school and you're going to do community service for them. Make that a point. Say that you are completely willing to continue community service at the college. You don't have to go there and do it. When you go there, you could say fuck off and no one cares. Because once you're in, you're in. But, say that. Make yourself, offer yourself. Don't say that, no, I don't really do much, but you have to show that you're different, because everyone that they are accepting in the applicant pool is basically the same as you. You know, there's going to be an anomaly here and there. There's going to be your quota kids. You know, you're going to be taking kids of a certain race for, you know, you have a certain number, and you have to take kids from urban, suburban, rural. There's your quota there. Female, male, religions, everything. There's going to be a quota. But everyone in your group is going to be the same. Your quota group. So I'm white. I'm in the suburbs. I don't think they actually do anything for religion, but I'm a male. I'm white. And I was in a certain GPA category, which was fairly common. So what made me stand out that I got into 8 of my 11 schools? You know, I went into my interviews and I rocked them because I had awesome experiences that were unique and were not didn't really fit the bill of the stereotypical high school student. I was doing stuff that, you know, some of those people probably wouldn't have even dreamed of high school students would have done. You know, I'm sure they've seen a fair amount of students. I'm not putting myself above others, but you know, there's some things that you can do that are gonna really put you ahead of others. Actually, one thing that honestly surprised me, I want to share this experience. I was giving my alumni interview with this lady, and she's like, how would you describe yourself as a person, like as a team member or whatever? And I sat there and I thought for a second, because I was doing so well in the interview. And, well, just, you know, you get that vibe. I literally sat down with her and talked to her for like 2.5 hours. My dad was flipping shit because he thought he was going to pick me up an hour. I had to go to her house. It was really weird. But I sat there and I thought to myself, and I was like, what would I be like on the team? Like, I'm not an outspoken leader when it comes on the team. I told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to tell you to you straight. I'm not going to be the person that gathers everyone up in a circle and gives a Disney speech, you know, in the third period of a hockey game so your team goes on to win. I'm not that kind of guy. And that's not the kind of guy I want to be. I told her flat out. You know, and she's like, oh, you know, explain. She's like, could you explain yourself? I was like, yeah. You know, I'm the unsung hero. That's what I thought. I'm the unsung hero. I'm the person that does what needs to be done and more for the team. And I would never, ever sing my own praises. I would never wear a C or an A unless it was picked by the team. You know, I'm not someone who is an outspoken leader. I am a leader behind the scenes. I'm the kid that will give the stick to the goaltender when he drops his stick. You know, I'm the kid that would take a minor for someone who got a 2 and a 10. I don't complain. I don't yell at other teammates. I'm not critical of others to their face or to the coaches. And I'm an unsung hero. And she was completely taken back. She's like, wow. She's like, you know, the girl that came here before you and took her interview, I felt really bad for you because she gave a great interview. She's like, now? I don't think so. She's like, I think you put a really good interview out. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. But, you know, I was trying to think of what it was, and it was just the unique experiences. It's not going to be student government. We have a changing social paradigm right now. We are in a time where, as I've said in previous commentaries, we are looking for creative, artistic minds that are thinkers. They aren't doers. You know, they're not going to sit there in their student government and wait for instructions. They're going to go out and they're going to make a graphic design club, or they're going to go out and make a science club, or they're going to go and invite keynote speakers for their entrepreneur club, or they're going to do different things like that. You know, they're going to start their own business and have that on a resume. How cool would that look on a resume for college? To say, wow, he owns his own business. Now, it doesn't have to be a profitable or successful business. It's just got to be something there that they ask you about. Because if you go in there with a run-of-the-mill resume, probably fill in 1 page, they're going to sit there for 20 minutes. You're going to talk out of your ass the whole time. And you're not going to have a meaningful experience with the people that are either not or letting you into college. So, you know, what can you do? I don't know if you can do anything, you know. I think, I'm just giving, like I said, I'm giving you, what do you guys think? You know, do you think that this run-of-the-mill student, this model, this mold that people have to fit is going to last very long in today's society when things are going the way they are? Regardless of where you're living, things are changing, you know. What do you guys think? I think things are going to change. I think some things are going to be held more important than others now. I think there's a changing social paradigm, as I said about a minute ago. As I call up my Final Fantasy, you know, LP, we're changing the paradigm. And I would actually refer you to the blog post from my buddy JB, as he's gotten like 20 shout-outs in the past 3 days. But I would go look at that. I would go read that because it's kind of interesting. He took it more of a psychological, sociological standpoint, but it was interesting to read. It was an interesting read, and as it gets a little bit sunny out and I have to go to school, I think I'm going to end this commentary. What do you guys think? Let me know. Share your experiences. That'd be fun. Have another little discussion commentary. Hopefully you guys enjoy your evening. I'm going to go study some religion. Ugh. Either way, guys, have yourselves a great evening. This has been Duff King 56. Peace out, guys. Bye.